Hey, Elliot. Elliot.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Where are you, Judith?
I'm here.
I can't see you.
Oh, all right. That's okay. Did you have to see me?
Well, it'd be nice if Elliot and I could see you. We're both seeing each other.
Wait a minute. I think my start video. All right, now you can see me.
Hey.
But I don't. It's not like really. It's not great. I don't know what to put behind here, but I'm in my living room.
Right.
All right, is that better?
Yeah. Yeah, much better.
Hello, hello.
Elliot.
Hi, buddies.
How are you, man?
Man, we finally got it happening.
Yeah. Hey, listen, can we have a 30-minute interview?
No. Like, how long is your interviews usually? Is it like sort of, whatever it is, or?
Yeah, there's no
timing?
Yeah.
All right, so let's just do it and see how it goes. How's that?
Yeah, because there's like no
There are no rules.
Yeah, no agenda, no rules, no nothing. Then I'll edit it to whatever you want it to.
Perfect.
And I'm really glad that we.
Can I say something? What is behind you? I like whatever that background is.
That's an old Steve Miller poster.
You're kidding! I love it. Wait, let me see it again.
It says radioactive on top. I'll send you a copy of it.
Oh my God, it's so nice. I like it.
It's an old Fillmore poster.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
It's so cool, Elliot.
Fillmore East or Fillmore West?
That's from the West, actually. I'm from Fillmore East, though.
Me too. I'm from Fillmore East.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, maybe we met each other. Maybe we bumped into each other over there.
I'm sure.
One of the concerts. Traffic? Do you go to Traffic? I remember going to a Traffic concert.
I saw Traffic, and Stevie Winwood was falling over. He was on heroin at the time.
Wow.
He kept stumbling. Do you remember?
What wonderful memories.
Yeah, that was.
That was pretty good.
I used to hang out at the Felt Forum and the Academy of Music and.
And what about do you remember? If you're a real person of my time, and of the East Village, the Electric Circus.
Oh, Electric Circus, yeah.
That was awesome place. That was.
Hey, Elliot, I got to tell you that Judith was an original worker at the Bottom Line.
Yeah, I was.
Oh yeah, I was one of the first 10 or 12 waitresses they hired.
Wow, and I was at MFP. I was at my father's place on Long Island, and then I kind of moved into the city. I was managing bands in Manhattan and played the Bowery. You remember the Bowery Ballroom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to.
That went on for a long time. Is it still in?
I haven't been down there in a decade.
Yeah, it's still going on, Judith. It's still going.
I know, but because of COVID, it's probably closed.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, everything shut down for that. So anyway, I actually the Bowery Ballroom. I was there. We used to opened up shows for like Tony Bennett's kids. They had a band at the time.
I remember that.
Yeah, one of the kids went on to manage Tony. He became Tony's manager, and let's see, who else did we work with? We worked with everybody down there. I had a band.
Elliot, I saw Tony Bennett. I met Tony Bennett and his band, The Tracks.
Okay.
He did a showcase at Tracks' son.
Yeah, and that was when.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God, I lost you.
Yeah, who did
Wait,
I?
There we go.
Okay, let's make sure everybody's running properly now. Um, just a second. Okay. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, wait.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Okay, so let's get started. Let me get rid of the little hum. There, that's a lot better. And we're good to go here. So, what's going on in your neck of the woods, guys? Everything
Well,
okay?
we're working on a vinyl cover right now. A very amazing group. I can't talk about it until it happens, but a very amazing group that just got contacted us,
Yeah.
and we're going to do a very off out of the box design for the cover. And I think we've got the elements to put it into some major shows next year. You know.
Okay. So hold on.
Yeah, so the band members, we won't say it, but the band members of this group have been are band members of a very, very, very famous
Bands,
rock group.
right?
You
Really?
know, like well, how many? Three of them, Spencer?
Yeah, and also the producer did a lot of work with Soundgarden. Also, the producer of the album.
Okay. And that's going to
So,
be 2021.
yeah, we're just starting the concepts now,
Yeah,
but we've got some
2021.
great stuff going, and
There's no deadline, which is a
yeah,
nice thing on
yeah,
it. You know, we don't. They didn't give us a deadline. But they gave us like, free to do whatever we do. Spencer and I
yeah,
do.
and it'll probably be a spring release in reality. It's going to be a spring release
Okay.
somewhere.
Well, let me get started. I mean, we
Yeah.
did get started. We're in the midst of this, but with me today is the incredible Judith Salivitz and Spencer Drate, two iconic um, record cover, 45 cover, design.
Logos,
Yeah,
rock
logo
and roll.
designers. Yeah, yeah. And I'm lucky enough. We've been trying to get this going now for weeks. First, we couldn't get the blue line working, that thin blue line, and
Yeah.
these things kept happening. So we finally got it happening. First of all, happy Hanukkah, everybody!
Yeah, happy
Hey,
Hanukkah.
Elliot, happy Hanukkah.
Happy
Wait,
Hanukkah!
today's the fourth. Tonight will be the fourth night.
Yes, yes. So what we did is, my grandkids live with us, so we kind of kept everything for yesterday. We did it all on a Saturday, so they had all day to kind of blow apart their gifts and everything. So
Oh,
yeah, and it was a big. Actually, it was a crazy week. I happened to be talking to a lot of Hanukkah celebrities this week, and it
Mm.
just kind of worked out that way. Lee Oscar from War. I spoke to Charlie Midnight. It was a very, very kosher week, so to speak.
did you happen to? Did you have Elliot? Did you happen to see the Hanukkah message that was? I don't know if it's viral, but it was out there from Vice President elect Kamala Harris and her husband.
No, I haven't caught
And
that
they
one.
actually lit the first night on the first night of Hanukkah. They lit the
Wow,
candle.
Wow.
great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be weird, right? There's actually a Jewish person in the White House, so to speak.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, the first what would you call him? The first gentleman, the
Jew-
first I don't know.
Oh, the first Jewish person, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The first husband happens to be Jewish.
Right,
So
right.
let's get back to you two guys.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell me, and my guest, all the people who are listening, and who will be seeing this later on, what, um, how did you two get started together? I know Spence has been out there. How did you two hook up? How did you two get your thing going?
Yeah, let me tell Judith, okay, the story.
You all right,
I
but don't get like all kind of like
no. Let
I'm
me
the
just
man and I know everything anymore.
Judith, come on. Okay, we don't want to start like this, Judith, please. Anyway,
Hold
how
on,
it
hold on, hold
started.
on, hold on. I'm going to start over so that we don't.
Yeah, start over. Right, start
Okay.
over. Judith,
To
stop
get
with the
to the,
comments.
Yeah,
okay,
but stop saying let me tell it.
Stop,
Okay.
stop. No, hey.
okay.
I started first. I was designing for ESP Disc, which was a very famous first album jazz label with a
Yeah.
lot of famous musicians that started on it. Then I progressed to Sire Records, which really made me my career with the Ramones, Talking Heads, work with the Pretenders, a lot of major Richard Hell. a lot of major
And that was
punk
the great,
and new wave.
and that was the
And
great Seymour Stein's label.
Seymour Stein was one of my mentors, along with Chris Blackwell at Island. They were two of my mentors. Seymour really believed in his groups, and Warner Brothers didn't know what the hell he was signing. That's literally it, Elliot.
Yes.
But those groups eventually became iconic, and he also had a lot of Echo and the Bunnymen. He had Madonna's first album. It goes on and on. But the label was out of the box totally. So I started there, and then along the line, Sire broke up, and I was having dinner, I guess, with my friend Holly Green, who used to run an event every year at a restaurant with a bunch of music people. And at that restaurant was Judith Salivitz serving at the restaurant. And then that's how I met her, literally. And we engrossed in a conversation, and I got to see her work, which I thought was out of the box.
Right.
Literally, she was very super creative in different areas, screen printing, ceramics, name it. So we got together, and I'll show you later. We'll show some of our covers. Marsha Crenshaw was the first, and that got into the AIGA award. Annie Leibovitz voted us in. That started our dynamic career. After that, it was just here we are together.
Okay. Judith, where are you?
I'm, yeah,
Wait,
where am I?
Well, I lost you. There you are. There.
Okay.
Okay. So Judith, from your perspective, how did you get into graphics? What kind of made it happen?
Oh, well, I mean, I majored in fine art in college. That was,
what school was that?
that was, in my days, it was called the Harvard of the Proletariats. Can you figure out what school that is?
Harvard, no.
So you know the word proletariats, that's the working class.
Right.
So it was people who couldn't afford, people that were as smart as the students going to Harvard, but they couldn't afford those kinds of tuition. So they went to my school, CCNY.
Okay, okay, cool. My wife went to a Pratt.
Oh, Pratt, that's a wonderful art school.
Yeah.
So your wife majored in art as well?
Yeah.
She's an artist?
Design, yeah, fashion design there.
Fashion design, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's interesting because I was originally, that's what I wanted to do, is be a fashion designer. And when I graduated from high school, I was going into high school. I graduated from, middle school, going into high school.
Right.
I wanted to go to FIT, but we lived in Brooklyn, and my father, and you had to take a test, I think at the time, which I passed. And my father wouldn't let me travel on the subway by myself to go to Manhattan because we lived in Brooklyn.
Right.
So I never got to fulfill my dream of being a fashion designer, but I did become a designer.
Good.
Only it was graphic.
Yeah, no, there was a bottom line question that I wanted to ask you. Spence, you just brought up Marsha Crenshaw.
Yeah.
Bottom line. What did I want to ask you about the bottom line? I'll get back to it. So
yeah.
So
I studied art.
Yeah.
In college, and never really knowing what I was ever going to do with an art, a degree in fine arts. But one day I met Spencer, and I was working and going to school at the same time.
Right.
It was difficult times, and
I'm from Brooklyn too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, it was, yeah. And so, Spencer started pulling me in on some of the work that he was doing at the time. And I had shown Spencer some of my work at the time. I had a couple of lithographs that I was working on. And do you remember the horse?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. That's it, man. That was it.
So when he saw my work, he said, "Oh my God." So then he started asking me, if I wanted to collaborate on some of the projects he was getting.
Right.
And I was like thrilled. It was like, what? Are you kidding? I was so excited about it. And it just took off from there because, when one led the one led to the other to another. And then, we started like coming up with concepts for covers. But, for me, I could never have done any of what I did without Spencer. And we had a lot of in the early parts of our design relationship, we had a lot of fights, and disagreements, But Spencer is very cool because, he's not cool in the moment, but
Right.
he's very good about like, fighting with you in the moment, right?
Right.
But then he goes home and he starts to think about what we were fighting about, or the disagreement, whether it was where placement of type, or the color, or the style of the type, or whatever, some craziness that we would disagree about. And he'd come back always and he'd say, you know what, Judith, you had a good point there. Let's go for it.
She would, Judith would bring up these ideas, and they were totally out of the box. And by the way, influenced a lot of other design after. That's how visionary she was in design. And what happened is, I would say, sometimes I'd say, what the hell is going on here? And then I think about it, like she said, and really think about it. I was receptive. I really was receptive for her ideas.
Yeah.
And then I come back and do them, and they were great. I mean, that's what put us together. And I said to myself, I'm not going to design alone. I mean, she's got to design with me. Seems like when we ever together designing, Elliot, it came out to be an award winner. We were in a lot of shows, album cover shows,
Right.
And a lot of recognition right now.
And the best part of it, Elliot, was that every project that Spencer and I ever worked on, and Spencer's going to agree to this, nobody ever came back to us to tell us, we want to change this, we want to change that. It was like whatever we gave them, they took. It was like they loved it. We were so lucky with that. We were really, because, I mean, I don't know if your wife is a graphic designer, people, they just are, I don't know if it's an ego, but they always have to like put their 2 cents in. When you're giving them, an award-winning design, they want to change it.
Yep.
We never had any problems.
And I want to also bring out that Judith and I are highly recognized now. We're in the, which hasn't been mentioned, we're the only music designers, this is amazing, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame archival with our own little place. No designer has that, which is a first ever. And we're also in a MoMA collection, AIGA collection, which is very high. AIGA is the top design organization. So we've gotten a lot of kudos and a lot of shows, and museum collections, museum shows. So we've developed a whole thing. I was schooled, by the way, at Bridgeport, but I had a Yale faculty. So my faculty was from Yale University. So like my cousin was saying, Spencer, I'm at Yale, I'm going to Yale, you're paying half the money, and you're getting a great education. And I was very lucky at that time. And that affected me later. Then I started to realize later, Judith and I are very strong in typography.
Yeah.
And so that's a big basis of design,
Yeah. So I know what I wanted as Judith. Where'd she disappear to again?
Judith.
You can't
What's going on?
There you are.
I'm back.
Okay.
I want to have a colorful background like you have, Elliot.
I'll get you one and I'll show you how to do it. It's easy. Okay, so I know what I want to ask you, Judith. Spencer had brought up Sire Records and Seymour and Madonna's first album. Do you remember Madonna playing The Bottom Line?
Played on what?
Do you remember Madonna playing at The Bottom Line?
You know what? I don't remember that. I mean, I may have been my day off, but I will tell you that
we used to pay her $50 a night. And she was madly in love with David Johansen.
Oh, wow.
I remember David Johansen playing there.
Yes, yes. So whenever David would play, or be prior to that when he was still with the Dolls, she would beg us to let her play. She was madly in love with David, and she would come with a boom box and a
Wow.
cassette, no band, no nothing, and we would give her
Mm.
$50 for showing up, and we
Amazing.
kind of say, "Wow."
But
That's
I'll tell you this though. I remember Bruce Springsteen
Yeah,
playing at the
Yeah.
bottom line.
yep, yep.
And wait a minute, but you don't know this. Maybe you know this story. When I was waitressing, it was really early on, like the opening. What was it, 74, 75? So he played there the first night. He and the E String Band. I can't. It's like I'm speechless when I think back on that evening.
Yeah.
There were literally, like, if I say 7 people in the audience,
And
I'm like
wait a minute.
I'm exaggerating.
I'll tell you.
So
I'll,
it was like unbelievable. So then, give it another, I'd say 2 or 3 months.
right.
He came back to the bottom line to perform again.
Yeah.
And it was like sold out every show, more, early and late show. Lines like 2 times around the block to get
Yep.
in.
Yep.
It was like, what amazing.
I went to Nassau Community College. That was the first college I went to, and I graduated high school, I guess in 72, whatever, 73. I joined the concert committee, and one of the first shows that I put on was Bruce Springsteen. But whoa! He was the opening act for David Bromberg.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw Springsteen, like Judith said, at the bottom line at an 8 o'clock show. He had a beard. I remember he had a beard at that time.
Yeah.
And there was nobody in the audience. I mean, I'm
Right.
sitting in the back.
Or maybe you were one of the 6 people, Spencer.
Yeah.
And we didn't know each other then.
Right,
We didn't
right.
know.
Yeah. Well, I actually did a fabulous Thunderbird show with about 12 people at my father's place.
Well, yeah. If you know, I'm going to show the album. We did the Tough Enough album cover. I'm
Yes.
going to show.
Yeah. You did.
Great
You
groups. Jimmy Vaughn.
Yeah. So it's just a lesson to, if you're good, your goodness, the good. If you're good or great, I should say, it's just going to happen. You just keep doing what you're doing. And I tell my daughter this advice. I give her this. My daughter is a filmmaker.
Oh.
And, I tell her, look, she's an amazing filmmaker. She hasn't yet, popped, she has, she's not famous or making zillions of dollars, but she's amazing. And I just tell her, just keep at it. Just keep doing it, because eventually the rest of the world is going to catch up to you. And that's what happened with Bruce Springsteen and so many musicians, Bob Dylan, they all, you start out and it's like nobody really,
keep doing it. Eventually the one person that's going to make it happen for you will notice
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to bring in something here. Ariel, her name is Ariel Cavusi, Judith's daughter, who's a filmmaker. Ariel was on a radio show, but she's been interviewed in a major article in Filmmaker magazine.
Really?
So, and she's been on Cinema Femme, which is a cable thing, but she's sort of getting out there. She has a dynamic, visionary mind.
Really?
And like we're saying, she's got to keep at it. Judith is bringing the right idea. Just keep at it.
Yeah, but I mean,
Now, I spoke to Spencer many a time prior to talking to you today. We've had dozens of conversations. And Judith, I think Spencer, stop me if I'm wrong, but I definitely, Spencer thinks your kids are the greatest. I mean, I'm telling you, he's told me stories about your kids. I don't know. It's like an uncle or something.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
That he really is well invested in them.
Ellie, it's really nice. They're very close to me. Yeah, Justin was a filmmaker. He's also has a creative ability of graphics, and actually
an editor, film editor, and an animator.
And Ariel's an amazing actress, songwriter, filmmaker. Very creative family. And what's really amazing to me, I always tell Judith, the both of them picked, for instance, the field of film, but they're in not the same related areas of film, but they both picked film to be in, which was very interesting, you know.
Yeah. And he's, Spencer told me, I remember one conversation we had that, it was kind of like you like a family member, it was kind of like,
Yeah,
guys
I'm
are
so
one big
happy about that. Yeah.
and so when he fights with you, you have to forgive him.
Well, you know what, Elliot? So, to put a, add a little story to Spencer, how close he's been. When my son was, born, I would, I would come to the studio to work, and I didn't have a babysitter. I took my son with me everywhere I went. Just,
Right.
Yes.
he was always with me, and he would come to our studio. And the day that John Bon Jovi, walked into our studio with a cassette tape in hand, he, because we were going to design his first album cover, John Bon Jovi, the band. And he walked in with the cassette, and so that's another story to tell. But he used to come, on a regular basis, visiting our studio, and Justin was always there. We had a couch in the studio, and John would sit on the couch, and my son would be on the floor, and then John would get down on the floor, and he would be my son's playmate.
Wow.
He would. I mean, if only I had an iPhone back then to take that photo,
Yeah.
But he would play with I tell my son, he had one of the most famous rock musicians as a playmate in his.
Yeah. Wow. How cool is that?
But so Justin was always with me. That's why there was this close bond with Spencer, because wherever we went, Justin came. No matter, even when I was pregnant with Justin, we went to this we worked on Joan Jett project, and we went to this I think a New Year's Eve concert that Joan Jett and the Blackhearts had, and I was about 8.5 months pregnant, and I was at the concert.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you guys go back a while.
Yeah,
we go back. We go back
years.
in 1982.
Wait, no, Spencer, don't say back to the Stone Age.
Yeah. Wow. So you guys go back to what, like 78 RPMs? No, I'm just fooling.
No,
it was not in our world.
We're in the age of paste ups and mechanicals, Elliot.
Well, yeah. What was your first
rubber cement?
What was the first collaborative project you guys?
Marsha
Crenshaw.
Marshall. Okay.
Which is dynamic because they got into an AIGA cover show. They only picked 7 covers of 3 years. And to top it off, Andy Leibovitz and Roger Black were judges, very high names in design and photography. Wow. And I had a very good relationship with Annie. I still do once in a while. I mean, a long time we talk, but she remembers that cover. She remembers that cover of what we did. And those things stick in people's minds. But that was the first collab, which I'll show you the cover when I do it. But
and Marshall had just gotten off of Beatlemania, right?
I guess so. Yeah. I don't remember, but we were given the cover to do. We had we had the elements. We had the photograph, front cover, back cover, and the typography was big time. So that really would make the cover or break it, literally.
Because my buddy Casper McLeod was doing Lennon on Broadway, and then he went on the traveling Beatlemania thing, and Marshall came in, so that was right before the first album. Yeah. So wow, so that's pretty cool. Those are great days, and those
are great days.
So what do you think? How many covers have you guys done together?
Well, we've got a lot. I don't know. There's not a count on this. I actually got, but I just want to show you 11 covers, 4 by myself, very fast. Then we'll go into Judith's covers.
Okay.
So you want. But let me start off with the first one this is with Sire Records.
Yeah, wow, that's a classic.
I'll do reserve. I don't know if you can see it.
Yep.
Can you get a close up of me on this? Can you tune in on it?
It looks great. It's fine.
No, it looks great like that, Spencer. It's good.
Yep.
Okay, so that Brad Ellis did the logo for the front. This won a design award, Graph Beast, I believe, and then the back cover, a really cool photograph with simple type, very very simple cover, but very nice, I think. You know, and
yeah, great design.
thank you. The second one, I'm just going through some. We've done more.
Yeah.
One of the Ramones covers. I did the Road to Ruin and End of the Century. This is
End
the
of the
famous
Century.
Mick Rock cover.
Yep.
Which is historic, actually, very iconic today.
Yes.
And the inside, I think what's interesting is the inside, because they liked the leather jacket thing, so I threw it into the inside. The reason why there's no leather jackets on the front is because the label wanted a more commercial look. That's really where it was politically. But this was on a lot of 45s overseas.
Right.
And I thought it was really cool, actually, the inner. Next cover is a really great, the front and back, Robert Ellis Oral, album called Robert Ellis Oral Fixation.
Okay.
And this is RCA, Wi-Fi RCA. That's the back cover. Steve Byron, famous designer who did the Beastie Boys, and David Gambale combined for this cover, and I did the typography area.
Okay. Well.
And then we all know this one, co-designed with Talking Heads. Here it is. Nominated for a Grammy.
You know, that one is so simple, yet it's so complex at the same time, you know?
And I was on the typography end. There's a book called 100 Best Album Covers, which pretty much describes it, my name in it, and David Byrne. But it was a collaborative of just really great elements, very simple, but nominated for a Grammy and album packaging in 1979, a very big honor.
Okay.
Now we'll get into Judith and Spencer. So this we could talk about a little bit. Here's our Marsha Crenshaw.
Yeah, that became that's his go-to album. That's it. And that's also a shot. I don't know if it's obviously you guys did it, but from the Greatest Hits album too, something similar to that cover.
Yeah, the back cover is very nice too.
Yep.
So it's like this one AIGA cover thing.
Yeah.
1982.
Cool.
But Judith got involved in the typography area with the front cover. And the blue that she picked for the type really makes the cover. I mean, it's not easy. You got to pick a good cover color, and you got to make it complement. It's going to make the cover. You know, you know, whatever.
That one, you know, it's funny. It reminds me of Elvis Presley, but it doesn't. You know, it's kind of like Elvis' colors, but it's not. You know, the kind of thing. Black. You know, Elvis loved pink and black. You know, and I see the pink stuff, and you know. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that's a really great cover. Cool. And then I'll go into, now we get back to Sire again, because this time Judith and I, with Sylvia Reed, Lou's wife, New York album.
Yep, great Lou Reed album.
Waring Abbott did the front cover photograph, and photographs composed together. And then I put the typography, and I think what's interesting is I used type on the front. I didn't want to do a solid type. Most people would do that. I said, no, I'm going to do outline type so the back wall will come through.
Right.
So it won't be really bombing your face, but be complementary because the images are so strong, you know, to keep that.
Yep. Cool. Very cool.
The second one of the line, Judith had a big play in Magic and Lost with the symbols with Sylvia Reed. The photo, Louis Jamais, front cover, right, Judith? But Judith did these slides. Tell me, she did slides for the show. She almost died doing these slides. For the slides.
When I painted slides for his, you know, lights for the lights when he went on tour with this album, and so the images that I paint, you know, these were the lights that, you know, really high degrees of temperature.
Sure.
Because they do is the lights point to the stage, and if you have a piece of art in front of it, it like radiates the art.
Okay.
So I painted those symbols into the lamps, but it had to be a special paint. A carcinogenic paint. Like I wore a mask, but I think maybe I don't know.
And Lou wasn't an easy guy to work with.
No,
he was okay with us.
Yeah, he was okay with us, but Where we really came into our life very strong was after we worked with him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we would. I remember Hermes Gallery. He had a photo opening. He invited me and Judith.
Amaze on
Bowie.
Madison Avenue.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a very big opening, and David Bowie showed up. The whole thing. Anyways, a crowd of people, and Judith and I are there, and it was really amazing. He's talking with all these people. All of a sudden, I go up to Lou, and Judith is with me, and we start talking, and he starts talking to Judith. He says, "You did the slides for that show. I love those slides." And then he goes to the whole, and believe it or not, the seas parted. It's like all the people were around us.
Wow.
And it's just Lou, me, and Judith talking together amongst a crowd of people. It's weird, but it's really good. But he didn't say anything,
Right.
but he didn't have to. He loved our work, never changed anything.
Right.
Sylvia would come in, design with us, tell him our ideas. Nothing was ever changed. It was amazing. Nothing. Then you know he liked our work. Then you know he liked it. And then later we worked on the Velvet Underground '93 tour, special packaging and poster, which is dynamic.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it worked out. It's like, but we really didn't talk to him. Sylvia was our in between. She handled the creative area of his life. She was dynamic, and Judith could tell you, very dynamic. And she and Sylvia, Judith and Sylvia composed the Alchemy symbols, which were on that album, which really makes the album a piece of work, you know.
Okay. What's up next? What do we have next?
Oh, Judith.
Okay.
The jump shot, Dieter Zill, jump shot on the front cover.
Wow.
So Kenny Laguna, our manager, says, I want a lot of pictures. Meryl Laguna gave us the photograph. She really art directed. Judith and I designed it. It's a biggie. It's like color, a very nice back cover. I thought of putting color around the black and white.
So,
the inner sleeve is a
nice.
multi. Mick Rock photographs, surrounding live shots, the other side travel pictures. And Judith could tell you, I mean, they gave us all these photographs. We went to town, literally.
And that's another tough person to work with, Kenny Laguna, right? He was tough.
Yeah, Kenny was, I tell you, Kenny was interesting.
Yeah.
When I first met Kenny, Kenny always treated us nice. I got to bring that point out. Always treated
He loved Spencer. He loved Spencer.
Yeah, he loved Spencer, but he loved the both of us. He really was nice.
Yeah, he liked me. He just loved you.
But Kenny was, you know, he was like known as a shark in the business, right, Elliot? So if you got on the other side of him, you heard the stories, right? You heard the stories. Yeah. But he loved us because he loved our work. We ended up doing 5 albums for Joan.
Yeah.
I got to tell you a great story. So we got off of Bon Jovi with Polygram. I get a call from Polygram. They want us to design Lita Ford's first cover.
Okay.
So Lita Ford, I said, wow, this is cool. It's the first album. That's the big one, her first one. After that, forget about it. But, you know, so anyway, then I get a call a couple of days later from Kenny.
Right.
And Kenny says, well, this is how the grapevine goes. You know about music, Elliot. So he says, Spencer, I hear you're going to be designing with Judith Lita Ford's first album. I said, yeah. He said, well, I got to tell you something. Lita does not get along with Joan. So now I knew, he didn't say anything. If I do this cover, you're not coming to our house, right? And everybody's telling me do the cover, which is normal. I'm going to lose a client. We're both going to lose this client. So I said to myself, I said, you know, Joan's always been good to us. I love her. I said, you know what? Like I know I was an idiot maybe at the time, but I said I'm not doing Lita's cover because Kenny, I don't know, he had such high regard for us, and it overwhelmed me. And so I turned down the cover. I lost the client, but Kenny gave us 5 album covers and 45s and stationery, everything, Black Heart logo. I mean, he flooded us. So that's the thing you got to know. It's a great story. It's a great story.
You have to know when.
And we got to design for another musician who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah.
And Joan was the one. You're right, Judith. Joan was the one, not Lita. But Lita's a great musician. I'm not going to knock Lita.
She's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
You can't.
And
she might make it.
And she's still with Kenny, right? Kenny's still running the show.
Kenny and Meryl are still around, and Kenny still plays keyboards. He travels on keyboards.
Right.
At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that was an interesting year for Judith and I, because that's the year that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame calls us up to send in things to them. But that was the year that Joan and Lou Reed were inducted. That was
Right.
a big thing with
Right,
us.
same year. That's right.
And
Well,
but then the next cover is a trip. This is one of the most controversial covers we've ever done. But everybody loves it. Everybody loves Jeffrey Thomas, who did the Bon Jovi front cover. He did this cover, like a Helmut Newton style. I put simple type on top, but Judith can tell you about this cover. This is almost not printed. It got printed, almost not printed by CBS because of the seductive front, believe it or not. But it's a gorgeous cover. Black, it's like a four-color black and white.
Nice.
Yeah, Helmut Newton-esque type approach to this,
Yep.
These were Friends of the Scorpions. The album didn't really sell, but David Krebs hired us for this. David Krebs.
And people don't realize how important covers were back then. I mean, how many times would you go to a record store and buy an album because the cover kind of hit you,
Yeah, and going on till today, we're both making vinyl event judges. I got to bring that in, and I just judge. You're just going to be judging right now. And that's a big event with incredible vinyl packaging, founded by Brian Eckes and Larry Jaffe, my friend. It's an amazing event, but it's all about vinyl, what you're talking about, and the vinyl resurgence. And it's a very, very popular event. And the packaging this year, and every year we get to be judges, it's amazing. The packaging is over the top.
Well, okay, so who? Oh yep.
So we got to talk about this one. This is Dee Dee King. Bob Bruin called me up, got us involved with this. His photographs front and back. It's a great cover. I think a lot of Bob's photographs, really good photographs.
Yeah,
Fortunately, the album didn't do too well.
Album didn't do so well, but I got to bring in Judith because she got the logo idea on top, which is very main part of the package. Worked with Patrick Kernan, a great illustrator we worked with CBS with. And that developed into this. And people would say, the album isn't that great, but the cover is incredible. They did a Dee Dee Ramone show in New York, and that's what the guy who ran it said. He said, people didn't like the album, but they loved the cover, Spencer.
Yeah, wow.
The last cover I'm going to talk about is what I talked to you about, Elliot, about the Fabulous Thunderbirds. This is a great story. Jimmy Vaughn comes into the office, shows me this picture, and Judith will be on part of this too. So he shows me this picture, and the idea was they just got signed to CBS International. They don't know what's going to go on with this cover, but they want a picture on the front. And Judith's telling me, go with the picture, this artwork. And I thought to myself, nah, it's got to be, it's got to be a picture. But then I thought about it, like Judith said, came back, and so Jimmy Vaughn calls me up. He's going into a meeting at CBS, right? And he asked me, what should I say? And I said, do you have the picture there? And I said, yeah. Now, I did something I never did before or after. I said to Jimmy, listen to this. I said, you got the picture there? Tell them that is the cover. Don't even ask them. Tell them that's the cover. Okay. I get a call about 3 hours later from CBS saying, Spencer, you're going to get fired. You're going to get fired. And then hours later, I get a call that it became the cover. How do you like that one?
Wow.
So the idea is this. Moralistically, we believed in this, both of us. And moralistically, we decided this is it. If they don't take this, it's almost like we're not going to do the cover.
You know what?
The pictures are on the back, right?
Yeah, so I mean, if we had pictures of the band, it would have been boring. I mean, and not another picture of a band. And they gave us this amazing piece of work of art done by an American Indian. It was like, why? That's got to be the cover. Are you crazy?
It was. You know why? Also, Judith, Jimmy brought in that picture. So
I know.
You knew right away. It meant a lot.
I know.
Art.
He liked
I didn't
it.
want to give it. I was ready.
Yeah,
I didn't tell Judith this. I don't know if she had. I would have chucked the cover. To tell you the truth, because our name would have been on it, but look what happened to them. Become multi-platform.
But that was good. I mean, we didn't fight on that one. We both agreed.
Yeah, we both agreed, and it was a very nice cover. And look what happened to the band became iconic.
So who does the words and who does the music in this collaboration team?
We both do it's a collaboration. So there are areas where Judith will say to me, Spencer, you do this, and I'll go, Judith, you do that.
Right.
You know, we really respect the areas. We know what areas we're in, right,
Right.
Judith? So we really
Yeah.
have, that's very important. So it's
Right.
not like it used to be an ego trip. I gotta admit, in the beginning of my life with Judith, I was like, here's me, here I am, I'm supposed to Drate. And then later, Judith opened me up to sharing and learning about how important, I gotta give her the 10 points on this. She got me into, I was an only child, so I never knew about sharing. Only children have a hard time with sharing. But
Right.
I learned about it through her. And I learned that that involves with not only a private life, but work. And that became a big thing with me. And then later, you know, now Judith's like, I would feel really uncomfortable if I was on an interview without her. I mean, that's where I am right now.
Right.
And she's part of my life. I mean, she's developed my whole
Well,
standard to a higher level.
I'll tell you, whenever we discussed doing shows and stuff, the first thing out of your mouth is, I got to get Judith's okay, and I have to make sure she's available, and I have to
Yeah.
make sure she's comfortable, make sure she gets a CC on everything, and make sure, he worries about you a lot. He really does.
Well, you
Oh,
know
thank you,
what?
Elliot. Thank you. This is very
To
nice.
that, to that bit of information, Elliot, you don't know. Having been working with Spencer for all those years, designing, being graphic art director, and a graphic designer and co-partner
Uh-huh.
as a woman in those days. It was a whole lot different than maybe today. It's somewhat similar, but a lot better.
Yeah.
For example, you say Spencer's always out front, and I'm always in the background, but that was actually created by society, because when Spencer and I would be called to go in on a meeting for a potential job, a project, and I would be there with Spencer. We would be sitting at this, in the meeting room with all these record company execs, or musicians or whoever we had to meet with, managers. And I have to tell you, in I don't know, in 20 whatever odd years, and it wasn't until Sylvia Reed that anybody that we've ever done a project with actually looked at me in the eye and acknowledged me as part of the design team. It was always Spencer. I was never given the option to say anything.
Uh-huh.
It was only when we went back to our studio where Spencer and I would then, brainstorm. And we would, but because Spencer, of course, always, he would listen to me, of course, but not these people. And
Well,
and it wasn't until Sylvia Reed, another woman,
right.
who actually paid attention and listened to me, and acknowledged that I was a part of that design team.
I have to come in here on that to point out what you were talking about. Sylvia always said to us, when she was married to Lou, they didn't recognize her as a creative force because she did a lot of creating in Lou's life. And the record companies would not relate to her. It was Lou. She was the wife of Lou. She wasn't a creative force. They wouldn't respect her like that. So that was a lot of the in common thing. But I just want to bring up, Judith was just last year interviewed by She Rocks, which is a major woman music event. They give out music to famous women rockers.
Right.
Susie Quattro, I believe, last year. Anyway, Judith was the first woman album cover designer to be interviewed by them last year. Now that is very big.
Yeah, they're all.
I was so happy for her because there she was exerting what she was in the women's world. And I always tell her to this day, Judith knows that. I said, you better come on for an interview because you're representing the women designers. They're going to look up to you. It's like,
well, you know what? So if you recall, Spencer, when we had an interview with Mark Goodman.
Yeah, serious.
So you tell the story of what happened.
Oh, well, I wanted you to come in on this. Anyway, so we're talking about album covers. And we get to the point of talking about all kinds of album covers. And we get to Sgt. Pepper's cover. And this is on radio live, and so Peter Blake has always been, through years, connoted with doing the design. His wife was a big play in that. And Judith brings up on the radio saying right up front, Peter Blake did not design that cover. His wife was like half of that design at least. Well, she didn't say it like that, but the co-designed it, which she did.
Really?
And the place was silent. They went on their fact checking right away.
You know, they have, when you,
It's
whenever
true.
you do,
It's true.
yeah.
But Judith made that point because it's about women. Tell Judith, go ahead. I mean, you can.
No, it was, so on that radio show, they, you know, we were in a recording studio room and there were like 5 of us in there. It was Mark Goodman and the other co-host.
Alan White.
Oh, Alan.
And yeah.
Alan
And then there were
White, yeah.
3 women on to our left. And their job was to check on everything that was being discussed. In other words, they were fact checkers.
Right.
They had to do it on the spot.
Right.
So that was something that they fact checked about because not Mark Goodman, but the other co-host mentioned Sgt. Pepper's, and he said, and Sgt. Pepper, what a great album designed by, you know, Peter Blakely, and I like, wait a minute, now I'm going to talk up now because these guys, they don't know what they're talking about. They're giving. This is happening all over again, just like what happened to me in my career. They're not mentioning Peter Blake, his wife. The original idea actually came from her. She is, I don't know if you know, she's a sculptor, and she does these lifelike images of people, of bodies and people. And it was her idea to do this. And she created, of course, they created it together, but not to get any credit when she was such a huge part of that Sgt. Pepper cover. I mean,
it must have been super frustrating for you to have to live through that all those years too.
Yeah, but you know, in a way, I was, you know, I was like most women in that time. You kind of go along with, this is the way our society is.
Right. This
is the way it is for me as a woman in business. You know, I didn't fight back, you know, which I regret. But now, you know, today I'm fighting back, and I teach my own children, my daughter, you know, to stand up and fight for, you know, her, just because she's a woman, that she's not able to do this and that.
Especially the music business was a real macho, you know, it was a real you know, boys club. It really was.
Right.
You know,
but you know, women were there it as a woman.
Women were there to make life easier for the male musicians.
Well, Elliot, here's an interesting point you're bringing up. Isn't it amazing, like Kenny and Merrill together? See, they were man and woman in a management company and working on everything together. That's like me and Judith, or John and Yoko, or whatever.
Well, just look at the women in the music business. You know, Yoko Ono, you know, helped you know, John kind of, you know, he was a great talent, but you could tell once he hooked up with Yoko, he became a little more philosophical, a little more you know, avant-garde, a little, you know what I mean? He kind of stepped out of his box a bit. And you know, obviously, you know, Chris France. He and Tina were great. You know,
Chris and Tina are like, they're great. Right?
Great rhythm section. They've always worked well together. And you know, I heard a story that years and years ago. Obviously, it had to be years and years ago. Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull went to visit Frank Zappa, and they went to his house up in Laurel Canyon, and they came in, and I know people who were there that night with them, and you know, Mick and Marion had this thing going. They were talking, you know, like equals and stuff, and you know, as Frank came in, and Gail Zappa came in and started talking, and Frank pretty much said to her, "That's enough from you. Let's not, you know, keep it down. You're not here to talk." That kind of thing. Yeah, and that kind of really stuck in the craw of the people I know sitting in the room with them that night.
Oh my God!
So yeah, that was, you know, women always had the got the.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, we women accepted this from society in some way. We didn't fight back at those, what you would call, they were norms, you know, of society, and you know, you were okay if you were a flight attendant, you know, a flight attendant, a stewardess,
A
or a
groupie.
nurse, or a,
Yep.
all these. But once, you were in business of any, or an artist, a painter. I mean,
Yeah.
women painters, I think to this day, struggle
Yeah.
to, for recognition. But, the world is changing, and I think people are getting wise to the wisdom of women and how this world
Right.
would be
Uh,
would fall apart without us in it.
Elliot, I want to bring up something that we're working on now that I didn't bring up. We're doing, we're very involved with HD TV, which is, I call TV to the higher level, sort of like Zoom. So Judith and I just completed a 10 interview series on some of the best designed album covers, 45s, and special CD packaging, where you can see and hear us like a show and tell. And that's going to be on YouTube. And also that's going to be on major social media platforms. The second series we're working on now is interviewing famous music designers, which is interesting.
Really?
We just did Craig Braun, Bruce Leisure, Roger Dean this Tuesday, by the way. That's another thing. And Zach Martin, who's the Mr. HTV I talked to him. He was a very good rock and roll DJ and worked with Scott Muni. Remember Scott Muni?
Yeah.
Elliot? So Zach is the founder, and he wants us to have like a radio show in the spring, which we're going to do on HDTV. But I love the platform because HDTV makes it like Zoom. It's like you see the work. Right. Rather like we're on Sirius XM. We had a great interview there, but nobody saw anything, and if you don't know what the album covers look like, how do you talk about them? Some of these people don't know. So I really like that platform for us, right, Judith? So we're going to do more. We're going to do more with that. Zach Martin's been very good. And Patrick Mubarak is another part of it who will be on our radio show. Great musician, HDTV DJ. Cool. Well, so that's coming up.
I love to be kept abreast of this thing because
I'll get you linked. I'll send you links to those things specifically when they're ready. Yeah, definitely.
Also, I love to talk to you when that's ready to go again. I don't want to say nah, but you guys are on for over an hour already.
Oh my goodness, we have to.
So.
Oh my goodness, we love it.
There goes your half hour theory.
Because we are having so much fun with you.
We're having fun. Judith's having fun, and I'm having fun.
You're supposed to have fun with me. That's what I'm here for.
Hey, listen, Elliot. I was born in Brooklyn, Elliot. Also,
Elliot, your magic and your charm worked on us.
I was born in Flatbush.
Oh.
And I lived in the projects in Rockaway Parkway as a youngster. And I'm from Brooklyn.
Wait a minute. I went to Erasmus Hall High School in the Flatbush.
Oh my God.
Oh, my folks went to Tilden.
Oh. And I was raised in Kings Highway in Brooklyn.
Okay. Yeah, Kings Highway.
We love Brooklyn.
We love Brooklyn. All the great people come from Brooklyn, Elliot.
Yeah, and
I know.
I had family. You remember the Pattagets?
Oh no, I don't know.
Yeah, I had family living in the Pattagets down by Gil Hodges bowling alley.
Oh really?
Yeah. So yeah.
It was a different kind of Brooklyn in those days.
Yeah, my grandparents lived on Easton Parkway.
Oh yeah. All right.
So yeah. And my wife, she was a little highbrow. She came from the Bronx.
Oh no.
Different world, Elliot. Different world.
Different planet.
Different planet.
Yep.
Anyway, it was really fun. Thank you.
I'm not throwing you out. We could stay and talk all day.
You could talk to Spencer. I have to go. I have something.
I could stay on if you want
to. But it was really, I loved it. And
I'll tell you what we're going to do then. I'm going to let both of you go, but I'm going to speak to you, and we're going to set up part 2 of this, okay?
Yeah, love it.
But I want to say thank you to you personally, Elliot, for giving Spencer and I this opportunity. Really, thank you so much.
I have to thank you too. I have to thank you. I'm going to send you guys an invitation. We're going to do another one of these.
Great.
Okay.
More fun.
Yeah,
more fun.
We'll do it after.
We'll bring toys.
A lot of stories, Elliot. A lot of stories we have.
Yeah, I know. That's what I want. We'll do it in 20 minutes.
All right, ciao, goodbye.
Okay,
Have a
ciao.
Stay safe.
happy Hanukkah and Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
fun stuff.
definitely.
Yep. Happy New Year. And listen, guys, stay safe, and we'll touch base after the new year. Okay.
Definitely. Yep.
Definitely.
And
We're on
Spence,
again.
Spence, I'll call you during the week.
Yeah, definitely, Elliot. I want
Okay.
you to.
Okay,
Thank
my
you.
friend. Stay safe, everybody.
And
You too.
say hi to your wife from us too.
Yeah.
Be good, guys. Bye.